All right, people. Review of the week time. So let's start, I should say, talking about the Dazn card that happened last night. Now, I only caught two of the fights that were on the card, and they were really the two fights I wanted to watch, which was Chev Clark versus Apochi, is how I believe how you pronounce his last name, and Sulecki versus Pacheco. Now, I'll start with Chev Clark versus Apochi. Honestly, if you haven't seen this fight yet, go and have a look. Honestly, go and have a look. It ended a majority decision win for Chev Clark. Now, I have to say, the scorecard here by Ron Stevens, 98-92. No. No, 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 no. Just no. It was not that type of a fight. It genuinely was a competitive fight. It was close. Don't have an issue with Chev Clark winning it, but 98-92, hell no. If you haven't seen it, as I said, it was 10 rounds. It was a really good scrap. Neither guy is defensively gifted. Neither guy is very technically sound. And it made for a really good fight. Apochi was... So, Apochi is one of these guys where he definitely has some power there. He hurt Chev Clark a couple of times in this fight. I think it was the fifth round. Chev Clark did appear to dip a little bit. And he was noticeably rocked at the end of the ninth round. He was hit at the top of the head. And it was in the dying seconds of round number 9. Had it been a bit longer, maybe could have had a knockdown. Possibly. But Chev Clark, on the other hand, was also able to hurt Apochi. Apochi has no regard for defense. He obviously is someone who trusts his chin. Probably has been okay in the past, but in this fight, now he shifted a lot of punishment. He was never down, but he was badly, badly hurt in round 8. And considering how many uppercuts he took off Chev Clark in this fight, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. It was a really good scrap. Again, both guys had their moments. Like, you go and look at around like round number 3 where Apochi comes out and he's landed on Chev Clark. Then Chev Clark decides to go to the body and then starts introducing the uppercut, but then Apochi is landing more on him. It's just one of those fights. It's a good little scrap. I'd recommend you go watch it. A very close fight. I don't have any issue with one judge scoring it a draw. As I said, that the big issue there I have, it's not a 98-92 type of fight. It's not an 8 round to 2 type of fight. It's definitely not that. You know, Chev Clark, if you had him winning, that's fine. But 98-92, hell no. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend you go watch it. Because it's a genuine... The rounds just went like that. 10 rounds like that. It was a really good scrap. Really enjoyed it. I've said it once, I'll say it again about Chev Clark. He's just okay. He is getting up there in age. In fact, I think he might have even been the... No, he wasn't. That's strange. Apochi's actually older. I was going to say I thought he might have been the older of the two because Chev Clark's in his mid-30s now. Definitely got a bit of power there, but I've not seen anything to indicate that he's going to, go on to the next. He beat Elizaro in his last fight, who was coming in off the back of a horrific knockout defeat to Jael Pataya. I think he's miles and miles and miles off that. He may never get to that, Chev Clark. The talk is now maybe going to put him in with Vidal Riley. Riley is... I've never rated Riley. As people have asked me before about Vidal Riley, and I've seen a few of his fights, never really rated him. He's one of these guys who... He never fought Isaac Chamberlain, but there was obviously a bit of needle there. So when Chamberlain lost to Jack Massey, he's one of these guys who acts as though, well, he did it. Sort of way. And I never understand it when fighters do that. When one of your contemporaries lose, but you've not been the one to inflict the L, you act as though it's me who did it. I always find it when Deontay Wilder was bad for that. And it's always like, okay, why are you happy that your contemporary is now taking an L? Because he's getting the credit, not you. So, what are you doing? Are you going to rematch that guy who doesn't speak backstage a couple more times? So, Clark versus Riley at British level, I would favour Chev Clark, I have to say. I've never really been... I still don't get the hype around Vidal Riley. People have asked me about him before, and I'm like, I've never really seen anything about Vidal Riley that's jumped out at me, to be honest with you. Nor have I really seen it with Chev Clark, apart from maybe punching power, but at least it's something, sort of way. Now we get on to the main event. Diego Pacheco versus, I'm going to try and pronounce it, is it Malik or Majik Sulecki? I know Sulecki, obviously. I expected this fight to go a couple of rounds. I thought it might have a very good chance of going the distance because I've seen Sulecki a few times in there with the likes of Danny Jacobs and Demetrius Andre. He's been able to go the distance. He has been down from headshots like against Danny Jacobs, very heavy knockdown. but he was able to come through and survive. I never got the impression in this fight he was badly hurt to the head. You know, he was, every time it seemed as though Pacheco maybe stunned him a little bit to the head, he was able to come back, and he was very sneaky with the left hook at times. And there was a few times he was throwing that left hook, and I was thinking, could there be some power behind that? And if it lands flush, how will Pacheco react? Sulecki not a noted power puncher though, so I was kind of thinking, okay, maybe Pacheco was looking at that left hook but not really worried about it. As the fight went on, his own commentators were saying he should go to the body. Pacheco should go to the body, go to the body. Well, he did. And once he did, sickener of a body shot. Absolute. You know, when a good headshot, a lovely left hook to the chin, bang, gets results. Big right hand, you know, flat on the canvas. They look nice. But when you see a good body shot, you just wince. You know, one of those bodies that makes you wince? Yeah, this is one of them. This is one of them. Landed it right in, under the rib cage. Sulecki was never beaten that count. Never beaten the count. Diego Pacheco moves on. Heard Eddie Hearn say maybe 2 more fights, he could be ready for Canelo. Let's say, I think Diego Pacheco is a better shout. Is a better shout at 168 than Edgar Berlanga. I think he's much better. I think I've been more impressed with what I've seen. He just seems a more rounded fighter. Berlanga just seems like a big guy with a bit of punching power, and that's it. You know, that's it. Whereas Pacheco, I see speed, I see a bit of ability, I see good punching power, good shot selection, patience. I see a lot that really impresses me about Diego Pacheco. It really is. So, look, I did think this fight would go a bit longer. In fact, I thought that it might actually potentially go the distance, but nope. Diego Pacheco doesn't want to get paid for overtime. So he ended it with a lovely left hook to the body. The 2 fights I did see, I have to say, I enjoyed them. So not a terrible card over in Carson, California. Is they call it the Dignity Sports Park? What was that called? Was that called the StubHub at one point? That arena they fought in? Because I know they used to do, I think Kell Brook fought in Carson, California when he fought Sean Porter. Is that the old StubHub Centre where they fought in? Because I remember that you always had some good fights there. You always had some good nights there. So that is pretty much the boxing for the weekend covered. In there's only 1 card. We are getting into the business end of things, and I keep forgetting Naoya Inoue this Tuesday is obviously fighting. So we've got a big Tuesday ahead of us. Obviously, I'll be working on Tuesday, so I won't be able to cover it live. But I look forward to. I say look forward. I always look forward to seeing Naoya Inoue in the ring. I always look forward to seeing him in the ring. But TJ Doheny, right, I know he's had some good luck, or I say good, there's nothing lucky about it, but he's had some good runs over there in Japan. But TJ Doheny, I seen this guy get, you know, battered from pillar to post by Michael Conlon 3 years ago. He's in there with Naoya Inoue. And I know against Conlon that would have been a 122, I think it was. I mean, like, seriously, I think this is going to be, you know, the way we said at the time when the fight was announced, and before it happened, we were saying Paul Butler versus Inoue is going to be a quick boom, it's done. And Paul Butler just went so negative that he just had 1 goal, which was go 12 rounds. Not to win, just go 12 rounds. TJ Doheny, I don't think is going to come in with that same attitude, but I wouldn't be shocked that this might not go around. I'd love to know. I'd be looking at some first round knockout odds, and I'd be saying you've got a good chance with that one, with Inoue versus TJ Doheny. I like the guy, nothing against him, but I just cannot see how he's going to win this fight, or how he's even going to be competitive in this fight. I think it's going to be a boom, done, see you later type of job, and that's how it's going to be. But we will talk about it on Tuesday evening when the fight happens. In terms of some of the things that's been happening now, the Zone, and I get the impression it was released unintentionally on Friday because it was taken down pretty damn quick, released the full version of the face-off for Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois. We are now, of course, into the month of September, so it is kind of full steam ahead with regards Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua. And as I said when I watched the face-off, so I was able to get my hands on a copy. I was able to have a look at it, and from what I seen Dubois being his usual self, just kind of, almost happy to be there in the moment. Hey, look at me. And with Anthony Joshua, I was going to say Dubois there, but no, with Anthony Joshua, I'm seeing what I've been seeing lately from him, which is a guy really in just the stoic business mind. Before Anthony Joshua, and I didn't like it personally, when he had this, stay humble image and, going with a smile and, oh, it's all good and we're all here and I'm this and yeah, well done. I like this Anthony Joshua now because I think that there is a certain degree of confidence off him. I think that he sees this as a job, which it is, and it's a job that he's good at, and it's a job that he's going to go in there and try and do a demolition job on Daniel Dubois. The big brother tactics that he's coming with as well, calling him boy. When Daniel Dubois is mentioning trainers, Joshua was pointing other things out as well. I like what I'm seeing with Anthony Joshua. He really is very business-like, and I wish we'd seen this version of Joshua many years ago. I can understand why we didn't, because obviously he was trying to, the guy wanted to make the bag, wanted to get the bag, and wanted to keep everyone happy. I like this version of him. I think that this is more the real him. I think he looked confident. I think he's going to do a demolition job on Daniel Dubois. But it was in terms of face-offs, and I've seen some people kind of say that maybe face-offs, they're a little bit overused these days, and I can agree with that to some extent. I think back in the day, they only really, remember when Sky did them, it was obviously the gloves are off. It was more for the big fights. They really did them for the big fights. The big pay-per-view fights, that's when they did them. Seems now that we just always get a face-off. And I don't want to sound disrespectful to any of these fighters. I'm not name any, but certain fights don't warrant a face-off. They just don't. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's, from a marketing point of view, I just don't think it does anything. I think that a big fight, a big pay-per-view fight, even a fight on the undercard, you could potentially get away with doing that, yes. They have done that in the past with the Joshua Molina. I don't even think, I'm sure they probably did, but I know Chisora White famously, when they had the whole throwing glass incident at their face-off, that was an undercard fight. They have done that, so I can understand that, but doing them for nearly every fight, not nearly every fight, but like a lot of them, you're just kind of like, come on, really? Really, do we really need to see one for every single fight? I don't think we do. That's just my opinion. But in terms of the face-off, yeah, I thought Joshua looked confident. I thought that Dubois, in his usual self, just kind of had the I'm happy to be here type of look. And one thing I will say about Daniel Dubois is that, and I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say this, but he's the sort of guy where you do kind of get the impression the lights are on, no one's home, but he never seems affected by anything that's going on, like whether it's there or not. I did see a little kind of bit of needle there this time, but more often than not, he's someone who never really gets overawed because it's just kind of always the same with Daniel Dubois. I'm also seeing Alexander Usyk will now be ringside for the Joshua versus Dubois fight on September the 21st. That's going to be interesting. So Alexander Usyk there against two of his former opponents. He's beaten Joshua twice. He's beaten Dubois once. So could he be planning ahead post Tyson Fury? I do wonder post Tyson Fury what he will do, win or lose. I reckon Usyk has one foot out the door, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So you may remember Dalton Smith was meant to fight John Fernandez. That was meant to be on September the 28th in Sheffield, I believe it was. Now, originally, the undercard for that fight was kind of going to be the undercard that was meant to happen on the Catrol Prograde card, which was meant to take place. Actually, if it had happened, it would have taken place last weekend, I think, right? So it didn't take place. They put them all on the Dalton Smith show. Strangely, Dalton Smith, although he's injured, they've cancelled that fight altogether, but they've not cancelled the card, they've just moved it. So it'll now take place in the Copper Box, Queen Elizabeth Park in Stratford is where the Copper Box is. I've walked by it several times. I've been in it. It's lovely. Lovely place the Copper Box is. And Johnny Fisher will face Andre Rudenko in the main event. You'll also have Rihanna Dixon versus Terry Harper on the undercard. They are persistent with that fight. Holy someone swore there. Yeah, they are persistent with that fight. Listen, Rihanna Dixon's going to beat the crap out of Terry Harper. That's what's going to happen. Simple as. Those who want my opinion, that's what's going to happen. Rihanna Dixon's going to beat the living crap out of Terry Harper and probably not stop her, but win it comfortably on points. That's what's going to happen there. In terms of Johnny Fisher versus Rudenko, yeah, Rudenko was one of those guys back in the day. I say back in the day, a couple of years ago. You could rely on him to get you some rounds. I remember when he fought Povetkin. I remember when he fought Povetkin. That was Povetkin's first fight after he fought Johann Dubois. And he fought him just before Christmas 2016. Stavern was meant to be the opponent. Povetkin got popped again, this time for Osterine. And they binned the Stavern fight. The BBC withdrew their sanction. They had Johann Dubois fight him. He was there as a fan. He wasn't even there. He was meant to be fighting Takam in January of 2017. He got brutally knocked out. Didn't even have boxing trainers. He wore running shoes in the ring. And Povetkin was banned by the WBC, but not banned from the other sanctioning bodies. Alright, so he came back in July. He fought Rudenko. If you'd seen the shape Povetkin was in against Johann Dubois and you compared it to the shape he was in against Rudenko, it was night and day. Yes, he was weighing the same. Well, I don't think he was weighing the same, but he was weighing similar. But he looked way more buff, way more chiseled against Johann Dubois. He almost got a first round stoppage against Rudenko because Rudenko claimed it was an injury. He claimed he had an injured hand or something in the first round, and it looked like they were just going to waive it, and they didn't, and he ended up going the distance. So he's always been someone who, he's good, he'll bring you the distance. Lately, however, he's not been doing that, which is to be expected. He's not Marius Vac in terms of his chin, and he is Asian. So I'd imagine he'll bring Fisher some rounds. He won't cause him any issue, but he'll bring him some rounds if nothing else. I don't envision if you're going to the copper box thinking this is another Alan Babbage, it won't be that. You'll probably get a couple of rounds this time. But yeah, I'd imagine Fisher will probably be able to stop Rudenko. Certainly this version of Rudenko. If we're talking about the Rudenko of a couple of years ago, 6-7 years ago, he'd have had a tougher job. But this version, he should stop him. Crawford has officially vacated his WBA World Welterweight title. That means Staniones has now been upgraded to full champion from the regular champion. Crawford, we already kind of knew that, but he's going to carry on at 154 pounds. Those welterweight titles, I think that's them all now, isn't it? I think that is them all. I'm not sure what the WBC situation is, but I think that's them all at welterweight. Now vacated, they're gone. So Crawford is going to be at 154 pounds. I'll talk about him versus Canelo in a wee bit. But Brian Norman Jr., I really did think he'd be fighting Boots Ennis next. Apparently not. Apparently he's going to be on Keyshawn Davis's undercard. Keyshawn Davis is going to be fighting that guy, Gustav Lemos, in November. Brian Norman Jr. will be on the undercard. I really did think, but Eddie Hearn has even said that fight is dead in the water. He said, we've sent 3 offers already. The teams are either deluded or just using Boots' name. Interview dropping soon. And yeah, Eddie Hearn was saying they made him some good offers and no go. So Brian Norman Jr., it's either they're asking for Brian Norman Jr. is not a bad fighter, but not many people know who he is. Saying that not many people know who Boots is. So that fight, if they're looking for crazy money, promoter would take a Hail Mary loss on it. Eddie Hearn has also been saying that they are hoping to finalise Galalia 5 versus Sonny Edwards. He's also added that Lewis Crooker versus Paddy Donovan also looks like it's going to get made to happen in Ireland. So we'll have a show in Ireland and we will have a show. Galalia 5 is Birmingham. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Would they do it in Birmingham or would they do it in maybe London? I don't think that's where Sonny Edwards is. Not sure where Sonny Edwards is from. But I know he trains with Grant Smith. So would they do it somewhere in the middle, maybe like a Leeds or somewhere like that? Sonny Edwards, he gave a good account of himself. Well, he didn't. Well, he did. He showed heart against Bam Rodriguez. He took a beating in that fight. He's had a comeback fight, but I don't know. If you were talking about peak Sonny Edwards going in there against Galalia 5, I'd be picking Sonny Edwards. How much does he have left? Because he did take a fair old beating. He took a fair old beating against Bam Rodriguez. Galalia 5, it's just he's not a bad fighter, but yeah, I'm not really sold on him. Robson Kansei Sale versus Oshak Foster rematch reportedly now set to take place on November the 2nd. Good. Absolutely ridiculous decision first time around. Canelo Alvarez has insisted that the Crawford fight could still happen next, despite Fundora versus Crawford being ordered. I'm not saying the fight can't happen. That's ordered. That order doesn't matter. So we need to wait and see. Canelo Alvarez, and I can kind of get where he's coming from, right? So Turki Al-Sheikh is someone who, he has a tendency to plan ahead. Now, some will say that's good, but you never plan ahead in boxing. You just don't know what's going to happen. So he has a tendency to plan ahead, and he'll be saying like, oh, the winner is going to fight Joshua, or the winner is going to fight this person, that person. You're like, mate. And sometimes he'll only use the one name. He'll be like, oh, Wilder wins, and he goes fight, and you're like, mate. Calm it down. Calm it down a little bit, right? Let's focus on the fighters now, because both fighters, just using the hypothetical situation here, have a fight. Let's wait and see if they can get through it. That's kind of probably Canelo's way of looking at it, in a sense of, I'm fighting Berlanga now. Whether you think I'll win or not is irrelevant. I haven't got the job done yet. I'm going to fight him, and then we can talk about what I do after. Turkey is talking about, Crawford. He's talking about this. He's talking about that. I'm sure Canelo was like, we'll talk about it when I finish this fight. Fair enough. I don't really have an issue with that, right? So we'll wait and see what he says post Berlanga. I expect him to beat Berlanga, as do many watching, I would imagine. So let's wait and see. In terms of the Crawford-Canelo fight, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'd watch it, but I just think Crawford is just, he's going to be so undersized at super middle. It's actually going to be disgraceful how undersized he is, really, because he was weighing 169 the next day after the weigh-in for his fight with Majamov. No. Before we finish up, let's have a quick look-see on boxing scene. Angry Liam Smith ready to punish clever Josh Kelly, then Eubank Jr. Oh, he wants the Eubank Jr. trilogy fight, does he? Liam Smith. If we were talking peak Liam Smith, he beats Josh Kelly. I'd be picking him over Josh Kelly. Peak Liam Smith beats Josh Kelly. Liam Smith, who fought Eubank Jr. first time, beats Josh Kelly. Do we have that? That I don't know. He did make, I think he was saying that it was weight that was the problem with Eubank Jr. in the rematch, that he had an injury to his leg or something. Whatever. If that is the case, he took a beating against Eubank. You have to remember, he's been out of the ring a year. I don't have enough faith in Liam Smith to pick him over Josh Kelly. If it was, as I said, peak Liam Smith, no problem at all. I'd pick him over Josh Kelly. I don't have enough faith in him this time around, though. I just don't. Regis Prograis, Catterall's resume can't compare with mine. Can it not? Catterall's resume consists of O'Hara Davis, Tyrone McKenna, an ancient Jorge Linares, and Josh Taylor. I think of his name there, Josh Taylor. It should be Josh Taylor twice, but only the once. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Josh Taylor being the big name there. I say it's not great because Linares, great fighter, but he retired straight after. So, you weren't fighting the Jorge Linares. Then you're talking about O'Hara Davis. What's he done? McKenna, what's he done? Josh Taylor. Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that. Prograis, that win over Zepeda, all right, I'll give you that. It was Jose Zepeda, wasn't it, who he beat? You beat Ndongo, but you beat Terry. Did you beat? Yeah, you beat Terry Flanagan, I think. What's he doing these days? Prograis' resume is not. It's. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. It's not crazy good. It's not like you're talking about a historic resume. He's a good fighter though, Prograis. Joshua will knock out Daniel Dubois in style, says Eddie Hearn. Yeah, I expect him to, and I think most others expect him to as well. I certainly would expect him to knock him out, but let's wait and see. At the end of the day, we need to wait and see what happens come fight night. I think Joshua will knock him out in style, but as I said, we need to wait and see. And a promoter would say that, wouldn't he? Eddie Hearn would say that. What else is there? I think that's pretty much it. So, I will leave it there, people. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, smash the like button. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. I'm recording this very early today, actually. It's not even 7 o'clock yet. It's just gone 6:15 on a Sunday. So, I will talk to you tomorrow. If anything comes up between now and the end of the day, I will do a video on it, obviously, as I always do. And yeah, we're getting there. You know, we're getting there in terms of everything. We had an awful last 2 weeks. Honestly, it's been shocking. But we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting back into it. Everything is going to come good. And I hope you guys who are listening, I hope you are all having a good time of it as well. If any of you guys are having a rough time, like I sort of kind of still am, not really, but you know, things could be better. I hope it gets better for you guys too, as I'm sure it will, no doubt. You have my support, you have my sympathy. And I hope you all have a great week. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Did I not already say that? Well, if I did, I'm saying it now. Lads, lassies, peace.